What is up, guys? It's SS Modern Warfare here, Gamertag Banjo Chicken, and welcome back to another PC tutorial. So this is method 2 on how to access admin accounts at work, college or school, or just resetting the password on your own account at home. You can use this method for that as well. So this is a remake of the original method 2 I made about a year or so ago. Just an updated video that I can go through and answer some of the questions and comments that people had in the last video, and just bring out a more up-to-date video. In the microphone, my voice may sound a bit different. I've got a new microphone, so yeah, my voice does sound quite considerably different to on the previous mic that I used to use. So anyway, in this video, what we're going to be doing is try to get onto the administrator account on this Windows 8 computer. Now, method 1, which was for Windows 7, only works with Windows 7, but the advantage of method 1 is that you can do it without any other tools or software. You don't need any tools or software. You can do everything within Windows, and it's just for Windows 7. Whereas this method, you do need some extra tools and programs, but the advantages are you can do this on Windows XP, Vista, 7, Windows 8, 8.1, loads of Windows operating systems work with this method, but you do need some more extra tools and programs for this. And what this method is all about is basically trying to get a command window open in the login screen. The reason that we want to do this is when the command prompt is running in the login screen, it is higher privilege than administrator, which means we have full access to change user accounts and do all that kind of stuff on the command prompt without getting access denied messages if we can get the command prompt open in the login screen. In order to do this, we need to change a process that can be opened in the login screen to a command prompt. So we need to find a process that we can use, and in the login screen there are three main processes that I go for. There's sticky keys. When you hit shift 5 times, it opens a sticky keys dialog box that appears in the login screen. So we could do that, but it can be disabled by your system administrator, which is why I really recommend not using that process anymore. You can also use the ease of access center, which is that little button that you see in the bottom left of the login screen. You click on that, it opens a little ease of access options, so there's that. Or you can also use the on-screen keyboard, which again can be accessed in the login screen by going into the ease of access center and enabling the on-screen keyboard. That also opens in the login screen, so we could use that process as well to change it to a command prompt. So first thing you want to do, guys, is what we are going to do first of all is basically go back to our home computer. So forget the school or work college PC right now, or any of that stuff. This is your main computer, so go back to your main computer that you have at home that isn't restricted, and what you're going to have to do is download a Linux-based operating system. It can be pretty much any Linux-based operating system you want. The two main ones for me, I guess, are Kali Linux and Ubuntu. There's also Mint. There's loads of different Linux operating systems. Somebody in the comments of the older video said that why not use a lightweight Linux operating system like Puppy Linux or Damn Small Linux. The only problem with using that is that although it is small and it does boot up quicker, problem is that it can't open all the files. We need to open a certain directory that has tons of files in it, and Puppy Linux and Dan Small Linux just seized up and froze on me and wouldn't load all the files and directories in that big directory. So I wouldn't recommend them because of that reason. So what I'm going to be using is Kali Linux. But like I say, you can use any Linux operating system you want. Kali Linux is just basically like Backtrack, if you've ever used Backtrack 5 or something like that. Kali Linux is just like Backtrack 6, essentially. So if we go to downloads, and we've got the ISOs, I suggest probably the 32-bit, possibly the 64-bit if you know that your school or work or college PC has a 64 or 32-bit operating system. If you don't know, then just go for the 32-bit because it will work with both. So you click the ISO, you download it, and once you have it downloaded, you can go ahead and burn it onto a DVD. So a lot of people in the last video were asking, why do you put it on a disk? Why can't you just put it on a USB? Mount the ISO to a USB instead of a DVD. The reason I chose a DVD is for a specific reason, and it's to do with the boot order. So if you're on a work or college computer, the technicians or admins or whoever will have probably set up that PC with a little bit of security at least. So they'd probably maybe disable the boot menu, or password protect the BIOS so that you can't change anything. So when that is in effect, all you can do is, well, you can't boot from a USB because you can't change the boot order if it's locked, and you can't get into the BIOS to change it either because it's password protected. So in that case, you're not going to be able to boot from a USB, but there is a chance, and it is quite a high chance, that the CD drive or your DVD drive is set to the #1 boot priority, because that is how computers are set up by default. They're by default settings, they will boot from a disk first, then hard drive, then USB or something like that. So that is why I always say it's better to burn onto a DVD. Because if you burn it onto a DVD, you have a higher chance of being able to boot it onto a school or work computer. Because even if they have password protected everything, password protected the BIOS, locked the boot options, if they still haven't changed the boot order, so it will still defaultly boot from the disk, and you'll still be able to boot into that Linux operating system. Whereas on a USB stick, you're not going to be able to do that. But if your school or work systems don't have much security on the boot menus are not locked, and the BIOS is not password protected, then you can mount it to a USB. So I'll show you both. If you were going to burn it onto a disk, you'd use a piece of software like Image Burn. Now, the way Image Burn works is you click write image file to disk, you open the image file, KLI Linux, open that ISO, put in a blank DVD. It can be -R, it can be -RW, possibly +R and +RW may work as well. Write at about 8 times speed seems to work good for me, and that's it. When you have the blank disk inserted, you'll be able to click this button and it will write the image file to the disk. Once it's done, you can take it out and bring it into your work or college computer. To do it to a USB, to mount the ISO to a USB, you use a program like Rufus. I'll put both of these programs, ImageBurn and Rufus, in the description. So with Rufus, you select the USB stick that's plugged in that you want to use. To mount the ISO, you select the file system as FAT32 because Linux does not work with NTFS. Cluster size, just set that to default. You can call the label whatever you want. But where it says create a bootable disk, you want to change FreeDOS to ISO image. Click this little button to browse, open KLI Linux, click open, and then just click the start button, and it will start mounting all those files to the USB. It will also wipe anything that was on the USB before, so make sure you have any important files that were on that USB stick backed up before you do this, because it will erase them all. So yeah, but you click start and it will mount that to the USB. So take that USB or disk to your school computer. So for my school or work or college computer example, it's just a virtual machine. So I'm just going to boot up my my virtual machine here. So let's just say this is we're now on our college or work computer, and this one is a Windows 8 machine. So what we're going to do is, first of all, shut it down or restart even. And if you've got a disk, then when it boots back up, you should see that it takes you into the Linux operating system, if you have the disk inserted, obviously. So insert the disk, restart the computer, and then there we go. KLI Linux is loaded because the boot menu is defaultly set to boot from a DVD drive first, and that's why it's booted us in here. If you have a USB stick plugged in, then when it's booting up, you can see that little Oracle VirtualBox thing. That's just, you would have your BIOS screen where that is. So you can see it says press F12. I'm just constantly rebooting this so you can see it. It says press F12 to select boot device. So if I press F12, that's our boot menu. So this is kind of an old-fashioned one. It's got like hard drive, and it's got floppy disk, CD-ROM, LAN. You would have probably more modern stuff like DVD-ROM, hard drive, USB or FAT32 device or something like that, which would be your USB stick. So if you have the USB stick plugged in, then select the USB in your boot menu. Or you can go into the BIOS and change the boot order to boot from the USB first. If you have the disk inserted, then it should automatically boot from the disk, or you can go into the boot menu and manually select it. So when you have the Linux operating system installed. Now, if you are using Kali Linux like I am here, do not use the install option. We're not wanting to screw up this computer. This is, you know, a work or college system. We're not wanting to damage this in any way. So installing will possibly install it to the hard drive, and that would corrupt all the Windows files or erase them, and then you've really got a problem. So what you want to do is just boot the live versions. Any of these live versions, just try each one. Usually the top one should work fine, and just let it boot. Now, when you're using the live version, it means it's running off the device that the ISO is mounted to. So if it's on the USB, then this is running off the USB. If it's on the disk, it's running off the disk. That way, it's not damaging any files on the hard drive. So, you know, it's not going to screw up the computer. So here we go, guys. We've got it booted up now. So what we're going to do is double click on the computer, because we're going to want to access this. And once we're on here, we're going to go into the hard drive file system. We need to find the one that contains Windows. So this is it here. We've got all our Windows files. So we're going to go into Windows, and we are going to expand this box. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down, and we're going to look for System 32. And this is why I said it's probably a good idea not to use something like Puppy Linux or Dan Small Linux, because they seem to have trouble loading this directory, because there are loads of files and loads of folders in this directory. So you're probably going to need a fairly decent Linux-based operating system to be able to open all these files that are in here. So here we go. So as you can see, there are loads and loads of files in here. So what we are going to be looking for is either utilman.exe, which is our ease of access center. We could also be looking for osk.exe, which is our on-screen keyboard, or sethc.exe, which is sticky keys. Remember, all three of those can be open in the login screen, so you can do it to any one. I don't recommend sticky keys anymore because they can be disabled by your system admin, but you know, OSK and Ease of Access Center, which is utilman, should be totally fine. So let's try and find the OSK process first of all. osk.exe, you can see I found it here. So you could do this to that process if you wanted, or okay, so here we go. Here's sethc.exe. That is sticky keys, so you could do it to that process as well, which can be opened in the login screen. Or so what we're looking for, guys, is utilman.exe. This is the one I'm going to use. So when you find the process you want, whether it's OSK, sethc, or utilman, right click on it and click on rename. Rename it to just a different name, as long as it's not the same name as any other process in here. So I just add a 1 next to it so it's a different name. Then you want to go up and find the command prompt, which is cmd.exe. So we're going to have a look for cmd.exe now. And there it is right here, cmd.exe. Once you find it, you want to make a copy of it. So just copy and paste it, and then rename the copy to utilman.exe, or whichever one you were using. So whichever process you did, you want to rename the command prompt to that same process. So guys, you can now see I have a utilman.exe and a utilman1.exe. So the utilman1.exe is the original ease of access center, and my new utilman.exe is now a command prompt. So once you have done that, we are now done. We can log out, or well, shut down the system. So I'll click restart here to shut down the system. So you can then take out your CD or your USB and just boot back into Windows. So just turn the computer on and let it boot back into the normal Windows operating system. And once it has done that, we have now changed it. So the one I changed was the Ease of Access Center utilman.exe, which is this button in the bottom left. So if I click it now, boom, it opens a command prompt instead of the ease of access. So this command prompt, we have full access of everything. We literally have unlimited access. Basically, we shouldn't get any access denied messages if we change anything in here, because we're running it in the login screen. And if I run explorer.exe, which is a neat little trick, never tried this on Windows 8, so I'm not sure how it will react. It may screw up. Yeah, okay, it kind of screws up on Windows 8. You can do it on Windows 7, but anyway, basically, we're now signed into a system account. Even though we haven't logged in, when you're not logged in, you're actually on an account called system, and that is higher privilege than administrator. So as long as we open this command window in the login screen before we have logged in, we have administrator access. So what we're going to do is, let's say we want to get onto the default administrator account. So the default administrator account in a computer is pretty much always going to be called administrator, or for a Windows machine anyway, the default administrator account is always administrator. I don't know what the password is. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our command prompt in the login screen here, and we are going to change the password. So we're going to type in net user, the user account name, which is administrator, and then we're going to hold down shift and hit the 8 key, and that will give you the little star icon. You hit enter and it'll say type a new password for the user. So I'm just going to type in hello as the password and hello to confirm. And this is another message that people were commenting on the last video, is that the password does not meet the password policy requirements. This really isn't an issue, guys. All that message means is that the password's not strong enough, and there's policy requirements, which means you have to have, uppercase letters and lowercase letters and numbers in your password. It needs to be long enough, like 8 to 10 characters or something like that. So we'll just create a stronger password that time. So same command, net user administrator star. I'm going to put capital H, lowercase e, LLO 123, and the same again to confirm. So that's got uppercase, lowercase letters and numbers, and it's long enough, and it meets the password policy requirements. Therefore, it lets me change the password. So I've now changed the password on the user account. So if I type in that password that I created, hello123, still doesn't give me access, because now it's saying your account has been disabled. Please see your system administrator. You may not have this issue, guys, but if you do, again, we can sort this easily. It just means the account is disabled, and that can easily be re-enabled again by typing in net user administrator, or whichever account name, /active, and then yes. What that's going to do is it's going to reactivate the account. So if I type in my password again, gives me access granted. There we go, I'm on the administrator account. You can see I'm signed into the account called administrator. I can search for the control panel. We'll just have a look. We'll go in here, we'll go in here. So there we go, I'm a local administrator. And that is how you access the admin account at work, college or school. But there's more, because if you are doing this at work, college or school, then well, if this account is being used by people, by actual administrators, then they're going to want to find out why the hell they can't get in because the password's changed. And yeah, so there's other ways you can do this more efficiently. Rather than changing the administrator account password, especially if it's an account that gets used quite often, then probably a better solution would be to create your own account. Create a brand new account and make it administrator. And then you can just disable it or delete it when you're done, so that you don't leave any traces. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll type in net user. We're creating a new account, so I'm just going to call this account new admin. You would choose something that isn't as obvious, I suppose. And then the password, so I'll put the same password as last time, and then /add. So we're adding a new user account with a username called new admin, and the password is hello123. Creates the account, but the account will not be an administrator. It will be a standard user, so we have to elevate the account to administrator. So to do this, we type in net local group administrators, and then in quotations the account name, which is new admin /add. And that will make it an administrator. And I kind of forgot to say, if you guys have seen method 1, then you don't need to keep watching this, guys. It's exactly the same as method 1. But yeah, anyway, if you haven't watched method 1, then please keep watching. So we can type in we can type in new admin and the account password, and that's it. We've got our new account. Now obviously Windows 8 is, well, Windows 8, so it's going to do this annoying preparation thing for your account settings and all that, which takes quite a while, so I'll probably just pause this while it gets on with it. Alright, there we go at last. So we're now on our new admin account. I'll go and take a look for the control panel just to show you guys that it is an administrator account now that we elevated it to administrator. And there we go, new admin, local account, administrator. So that is another way to get on admin accounts right there, is to create your own account and elevate it to an administrator. Final thing that you guys can do is make your own account administrator. So the same account that you normally use to log in, you can make as an administrator. To do that, you would type in net local group, same command as we entered last time. So net local group administrators, then your account name, which on my PC here is Lee, is my standard user account, and then I can do that. Net local group administrators, my account name /add. Now, if you're doing this on a college or work PC, then your accounts will be stored on a server, not on the local computer. They'll be on a domain. So if they're on a domain, then it becomes a bit more tricky, because you can't make your own account an administrator without making all the standard user accounts on that domain an administrator of the computer that you're working on. So yes, if you want to do this, you will be changing everybody to administrator, not just yourself, but I mean, you can always change it back. So how would you do that? If you type in net local group users, it'll give you all the standard users, and your domain will be in here somewhere, like the domain name /users, or like say it's a college, it'll be the college name / domain users, something like that. And then you would just type in, you know, this command, except instead of an account name, you would put the domain, which would be like domain, well, that's a bad example. It would be like domain /users, like that, basically. Except you'd have a space here, or something like let's say it was ICTC for Information Computing Technology College, or something like that. /domain users. So, you know, a domain would be something like that. And if you wanted to delete it again and put it back to a standard user, you would just put /delete instead of /add. So that is how you do it. It's /add if you want to add it to the group, /delete if you want to delete it from the group. Simple as that, guys, and you know, that's how you elevate your own account to administrator. So type into if I go into my standard user account now, it should now be an administrator privileged account. So we have a look, and it's a local administrator. So I'm kind of running out of time, guys, now. I don't want to keep rambling on, so what I'm going to do is just address one other thing that people were coming to me about. So if you want to go ahead and remove this now, because it is a bit dodgy that you click this button and it opens up a command prompt, and you know, there might be people on the work or college computer that need to use the ease of access center. So if you want to change it back, the easiest way is to sign into a administrator account of some kind. So it could be the new account you made as administrator, or your own account that you elevated to administrator. And once you sign in, you're going to want to go up and search for the command prompt here, right click, run it as administrator, and just type in sfc /scan now. And all that's going to do is it's going to check all the system files inside Windows System 32 and look for anything that's corrupt or damaged. It should find the utilman.exe that we changed, and it should detect that as a damaged or corrupt process and then replace it with the legitimate one. And once it's done that, it will, you know, basically prompt for a restart, and once you restart, it should change back to normal. And so once the scan has completed, you should get a message that says Windows Resource Protection found corrupt files and successfully repaired them. all you have to do now is shut down the computer. Well, restart it. So I'm just going to restart it here. And as you can see, guys, it's now booted back up. So if I click the ease of access, it's back to normal. We've got our normal ease of access here. So that is how you change it back with the SFC scan now. If that command doesn't work for you in your work, college or school or wherever, and you want it to, then if you look at method 1, near the end of that video I go through another method, but I'm really out of time for this video. So if you like the video, please be sure to leave a like and comment if you have any questions. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I'll put a link on screen now to where you can find method 1, which is for Windows 7 only and doesn't require any other tools and programs. I'll also put a link on screen now to show you guys another video of mine on how to bypass blocked websites at work, college or school. So internet web filters, how to bypass those restrictions. And that's it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.